Ladies and gentlemen, the Kids in the Room podcast. The Kids in the Room podcast.
That's right. That's right.
Brought to you by Move Faces TV.
Woo! All right. Hey guys, welcome to the Kids in the Room podcast. Today we've got Trenton Hudson on the show. Trenton, what's going on?
Chilling, man. Happy to be here. Just taking a little break out of this busy day, Monday. I'm ready to get it, and yeah, just came to chill.
Yeah, man. I mean, you got to come to chill, man. So, yeah, man. I mean, Trenton, tell everyone what you do. Tell them your magic. Tell them what you're great at.
I do a couple things. I'm honestly mostly known for producing cartoons. I live in LA. I moved out here about 5.5 years ago, probably. Done a handful of like small projects with Comedy Central, Showtime, LOL Network, and been producing cartoons independently too. My brothers and I, we have a production company, a little small kind of boutique animation house. And so, yeah, that, and then also something a little more recently, within the last year, I started a coffee company. We make coffee out of date seeds. And the reason for that is kind of it's a healthier version, and we'll kind of get into why date seeds later.
Okay. So, wow. You moved to LA, started doing cartoons. Why cartoons, man? Why cartoons?
Oh man, it's a couple things really. So I'm a huge fan of cartoons, always have been. Like I grew up watching Simpsons, South Park, Family Guy, all that, and it always looked like something that I would be into because I've always been like I used to draw cartoons all the time as a kid, sketch out little comics, things like that. Me and my brothers, we love to just talk smack to one another and be funny, and just a lot of that kind of talk and just being funny. And we kind of just wanted to figure out a way to bring that funny to the screen. And whenever we were kind of trying to figure out, our path on, if I'm gonna do entertainment, like what does that look like? In the moment, it was, I would love to make a show, but I don't have the resources to make a live action show. That gets super expensive, even just paying for space alone to shoot and cameras and this and that. But I was like, I can get a computer to animate, and we can figure out how to animate some cartoons. And we literally just got some computers on a Best Buy credit card and we taught ourselves how to animate. And that took like probably from the time we decided we were going to make cartoons to the time we put out our first project was probably about 1.5 years of like learning how to use this software and figuring out how to write and make the jokes better and kind of funny and flow in a script. And then, yeah, we just started producing content and started just putting anything and everything out there that we could, even if it was, terrible at first, which it was. But that's kind of one of the things, like, your first product should always kind of suck, right? You should always be a little bit embarrassed of, whatever it is you're putting out first, especially if it's content, if, I don't know. So I've listened to a bunch of your podcast episodes, but I didn't go back to the very beginning. So, but I would assume that there's like this curve of, episode 1 versus episode 25, where it's like a huge increase in everything quality wise. But yeah, so we just put our heads down and got to it, and we literally just decided we wanted to make cartoons and did. And then it turned into this whole thing, and now we're in a really good position doing some really cool stuff and pitching shows to networks and this and that, and have a ton of awesome people that we've been able to work with because of it. Yeah, so that's kind of what it was. And it was like we just jumped in, figured it out, and that's like one of the things I try to tell people all the time. Anyone who's trying to pursue anything or do anything, just jump in. It doesn't matter if it's gonna suck at first. Just know that it is. It's a fact. It just is. It's in maybe not suck, but you're gonna get to a point where it's like what I used to do, it did suck compared to what I'm doing now. And it's we were just trying to be creative with our resources, because like I said, we didn't have space to shoot. We didn't have like access to a studio. We were living in Missouri, just like trying to figure out how to navigate this path of figuring out these cartoons and making those connections and doing all the things you got to do to really kind of make it in this industry. And it was like I said, the resources, we didn't have all the cool techie stuff, but we literally just like maxed out a Best Buy credit card, and we stole our computer software from the internet. We didn't even buy it because we couldn't really afford it. So, and it was like super bootleg. It was good, and it was like super quality production, like studio industry standard. but it was bootleg, so there was in it like like everywhere. Um, and we started making stuff on YouTube, and it kind of got on the radar at Comedy Central, and then we started working with them. We flew out to LA in January 2016 and met them, a couple executives that we were kind of talking to and showing our show to on YouTube, and they weren't like high level executives. They were actually assistants in the programming department, but they were really liking what we were doing, and we flew out here and met them January 2016. 2 months later, we started making a show with them, and a few months after that, we moved out here. And then like that was cool because that chunk of money from Comedy Central doing like 2 years of shows, that enabled us to move to California, pay for that, buy legit computer software, so we're not sitting here making bootleg, episodes for a company like Comedy Central, right? Like it was cool when we was doing it on YouTube. It didn't matter. It was whatever. Like, but it was like, okay, we got this little deal. We got to kind of go legit here, at least a little bit. We got to at least like inch towards legitimacy here, and buy the things we should have bought without, so we don't get in trouble. Someone will snitch on us, and now we can tell the story about it.
Wow, man, that's crazy, man. So you guys came out here from Missouri. I don't know if I said that right. I've only said that a couple times in life.
Honestly, as long as you don't call it Missouri, it's all good.
All right, awesome. Yeah, but so you guys
Which
came.
is what a lot of people there call it.
Really? I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, they call it Missouri, and I'm always correcting people. I'm like, it's Missouri. You don't call Mississippi, right? It's the same.
Yeah, I think it depends on the dialect of the region of the
Yeah.
the
It's like
country.
the Southern Missouri. Everyone in Southern Missouri calls it Missouri.
Yes.
But that's not what it's called.
I wouldn't
That's
doubt
not
that.
what it's
Yeah,
called.
I've always see. I was predominantly I was born in Connecticut, so I think we were saying Missouri. So yeah.
That would be correct.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. It's funny stuff. So wow, you guys started creating stuff for Comedy Central, right? That's crazy.
Yeah. So like I said, we started on YouTube, and we were actually making this show right here behind me called The Lounge. It's about these four guys that work at a school, but none of them are teachers, so they just kind of screw around in the lounge all day and get into debauchery and whatever. And they're like the biggest group of misfits that should like literally never work around kids. So that was kind of like the joke of like who these guys are. And they were the PE coach, counselor, secretary, bus driver. So they got like ample free time throughout the day to just do whatever they want. And yeah, that was the show that we were doing on YouTube, and then Comedy Central was digging it, and we did 2 seasons with them online, across our digital channels. And then we actually had a pitch meeting to pitch it for TV. Bombed it so hard. It was our very first pitch meeting ever. Didn't know what we were doing. Got some bad advice from an agent who didn't really know what she was talking about. Went in there and just like it was
What
yeah,
did what'd you
good
do,
learning
man?
experience.
What'd you do? What'd you guys do? Tell us
I
how
mean,
you
we
bombed how you bombed it. How'd you bound it?
we were essentially like almost going from a script, because this agent's like, yeah, you need to know like exactly what you're gonna say, just like do this and this, and it's like, man, it should have been more of a conversation. That's what you wanted to make it, and we didn't do that at all. We gave basically like a presentation that
Stats and numbers and shit.
wasn't. Yeah. It was a presentation that wasn't captivating. Instead of a conversation back and forth with us and the people that we were pitching to. So yeah, it just took. Yeah, it's funny like looking back on it now. But yeah, it was. We
What do you
didn't know
think?
what we were doing.
What do you think you guys learned from it? Differently, or would you? Yeah.
Uh, you know,
What would you do different? How
what
about that?
it essentially is, it's a sale, right? So anyone who works in sales, like it's a very personable exchange, especially when you're pitching something that is, well, essentially you're asking a network. When you pitch a show, you're essentially asking a network, hey, will you invest a ton of time, energy, and millions of dollars into this project that we have? So you're selling like $1 million project, multi-million-dollar project. So that's a big sale to try to close. And so it's got to be very, build that rapport, make it personable. It's a conversation. It's a two-way street. It's not a one-way street, and we treated it as a one-way because we didn't really know anything about what we were trying to get ourselves into. And so I think just that's the biggest thing, is just making it more of a two-way street than a one-way street was the big thing that I kind of took away from it. And just figuring out how to make it a presentation that you're giving, but also how do you pull these people in how do you involve them, the people that you're trying to pitch to, how do you involve them, promote them to ask questions and want to be more engaged and learn more about it. And so yeah, just the whole process of everything about it was just, you know, we did the opposite of what we should have done. The
Right. So
exact opposite.
right. So you thought you should have made the presentation more engaging and more
Yeah, yeah.
more of a conversation with everyone, more thought provoking questions from the audience, where it was
Hmm.
more interactive in general. If you're building out
Yeah,
a
yeah,
cartoon
exactly.
or show, you want it to make it more interactive, but you went there like you were actually doing something for a bunch of Wall Street or tech investors.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pretty much. It was like we were giving a TED talk.
Oh wow, it was so
Because TED
boring.
talk is one way. You're giving a presentation to an audience, and you don't expect them to ask questions. You're just trying to tell them everything you can in a short amount of time. Whereas it should have been, let's go have a conversation about what we're trying to what we're trying to bring to you.
Oh, you guys fucked up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The exact opposite. We did it. And that was what we could take away. Literally, okay, so it's like, fellas, okay, literally everything we just did in there. Let's never do that again. Everything we did it wrong backwards.
Sounds like a book title. Everything you did, don't do that shit yet. Don't do it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yo, real shit. Like that,
That's
that's a book. You could write a book like on just all the times you failed and like how to do the opposite. And that was like a big thing for us. Like we failed so hard, and it's okay. Like we don't you don't let it get you down. You just put your head back down and keep grinding and try to get to what you're trying to do. And but yeah, it was, yeah, do the opposite. What
right. That even sounds like a good book title. Failed so hard. Yeah. There goes a series, guys. You guys can, copyright that or take that or yeah. Trademark. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, man. That's crazy stuff, man. So you guys got all the way to Comedy Central from Missouri. You guys got some investments. They put you online. You guys were legit, like legit.
Yeah, yeah. And the greatest thing about that was like just working with them took our production quality to like so high. Like even like doing stuff on YouTube. I think we did like 50 episodes on YouTube before we ever did the Comedy Central thing. And so that learning curve was great as far as production quality. But once we started working with them, it was like, okay, this is awesome because we're working with people who this is their job. They're professionals and they're great at it. And so they taught us so much about, especially the writing process, because we knew how to be funny, but we didn't know how to write engaging story and just make it to where you want to watch it over and over again. Because I think a big thing with comedy is that you'll watch it for the jokes the first time, but after you've already heard all those jokes, heard all those punchlines, you know what's coming. Then you're gonna rewatch it again if the story's good. If the story's boring, you're probably not gonna watch it again. Or that's kind of how I am anyway. Like I've seen, you'll come across a funny TV show and then or a funny movie, and sometimes you're just like, yeah, it's just not the first. It's not near as good as the first time you've seen it because I already know what punchlines are coming. But if you can make the story engaging enough and good enough, then I think people will come back and keep watching. And that was a big thing we got from them was just how do we write our script to where, okay, yeah, we can be funny, but how do we write it to where the story is good and it's engaging for the audience and they're gonna want to just keep watching. And so working with them, not only our story but even our joke telling, like we got way funnier working with them. Just the structure of, it was like, yeah, you can tell this joke this way and it's funny, but if you move this part here, tell it like this, then it hits harder, it's funnier. And so, a lot of little technical things. It was like, we worked with these people for 2 years, and it was a master class in comedy and writing and production. And instead of paying 100 grand to go to school for 4 years, we got to do it in 2 years and got paid to do it instead. So it was just like such a like amazing, truly great experience for us. And then whenever we were doing stuff on YouTube, it's like you're trying to reach out to people, ask for advice, whatever it may be, and no one's going to talk to you because they don't know who you are. But then now it's like we reach out to people, or even like as soon as that happens, like now we can start listing these companies that we've worked with. Yeah, Comedy Central, Showtime, LOL Network, and a handful of other like smaller, but those are like the bigger ones we've done stuff with. And as soon as we were able to drop Comedy Central's name, whenever we'd reach out to people, like, yeah, we did this show with Comedy Central, we're doing this right now, we're in the middle of it. now they're taking meetings with us. Now they'll at least take a phone call and hear what we have to say, and they're not ignoring us at least. So the network opportunity that provided was just like it gave us instant credibility as opposed to doing stuff on YouTube, and that was huge for us, and that opened so many doors for us. Like that opened just like door after door after door, and now we're in a position where we have at least somewhat of a relationship. Some of them are great with some of these networks out here and like production companies and streaming services. Some of our networks or relationships are great. Some of them are getting there. Some of them we're just now getting doors open to different places. But I mean, we essentially have somewhat of a relationship or a connection at pretty much every network streaming service in Los Angeles. And that kind of was just like a domino effect from the Comedy Central thing.
Wow, that's crazy. So I mean, it's a really interesting story so far. So it's like, where if you have to, go back again, I want to stick back
Hmm.
on this. If you had to go back
Yeah.
and you could do some things different, how would you do that? Walk us through how you would do that differently.
Honestly, there's a lot that I would do different. So I'll kind of like go back to the very, very beginning. Right after I graduated college 2012, and I moved to San Diego, and I eventually started working as a financial advisor. Right, worked for a great company, loved the people I worked with, loved the management team around me. Everyone was awesome. The actual job, though, hated it, couldn't stand it. Not for me. Um, it is a great job if you like that. If you like doing sales and working with numbers and whatnot, and seeing how you can help people make more money, awesome job. To me, bored me to death. So I'm literally like trying to figure out like, okay, how do I get out of this job that I have? How do I get out of here and get into something better? Because like this is a job that, okay, all the time, energy, effort that I put into cartoons, if I would have put that into my work as a financial advisor, I'd be making a ton of money right now, and probably I would have been making a ton of money for like years by now. But I was like, okay, this is a job that's only going to set me up financially, but I'm not going to be happy doing this, and I can't do that. I need both. I need to love what I do and make good money doing it. So trying to figure out what to do, and honestly, like a big influence on me was I was listening to Nipsey Hussle Crenshaw album at the time, and like Nipsey Hussle's Crenshaw was like for me, I kind of watched this dude go from like just this mixtape artist to now he's like doing like real legit stuff. And Nipsey Hussle, so I don't know if for anyone listening, his album Crenshaw, whenever he put it out, and this is in the digital age too, when it's damn near impossible to sell music. This dude built a strong enough following to where he released this album. He only printed 1,000 copies and sold them for $100 a piece. And I think you got like maybe it was either a concert ticket or a T-shirt or like a couple things. But yeah, I mean, you're still selling albums for $100 a piece, and you sold 1,000 of them. And like this dude is, I kind of saw like his journey as a blueprint of okay, I can do something similar with this. I can't make music because I'm not musically inclined like that, but I was like I can kind of apply that to the cartoons and or comedy or whatever it is I want to do. I was actually leaning more towards stand up at the time, but I was kind of like I don't know if I want to do stand up full time. I think like cartoons would be a better route for me to start. Maybe jump into stand up after that, after I kind of get a little bit established as doing the cartoons and have a little bit of a name in the world, or this world anyway, the name of or the world of entertainment. But I'm sitting here looking at this, and that was me looking at going back to the resources, looking at the resources I had, like how can I apply these steps, build this following, use that to get to the next step and the next step. So it was like, okay, let's make cartoons. And I called my brother up one day, and I'm like, yo, I've been thinking about making a cartoon lately, and he's like, man, that's awesome. I've always wanted to make a cartoon. Like we've talked about it lots of times. It's always just been one of those things that it's just been brought up and never been like, let's do it. It's just, yo, that'd be cool to make a cartoon. So from that day, we literally were like, okay, well, let's figure out what computer software we need to find. How powerful computers do we need to be, and do we need to get? And we're just trying to like break this down in every little simple step that we can. So, it's like, okay, get computer software, check, check. Start learning animation, check. And the software that we use, they actually have like 100 hours of tutorials on their website. So we just started watching all these and learning and figuring this out. And we figured everything out as we went. And so then, we get to a point where we can actually animate a little bit. So we started putting, our content on YouTube, like I was saying. And that was what YouTube did for us. It allowed us to build our following so that we can use that following and, you know, you use that as leverage to either, figure out how to make money off of it or sell a show to Comedy Central or whatever it may be. And it was just, you know, we decided we were going to do it and just broke everything down as simple as possible, and just went step by step. And then we put together this plan of let's do this. And I was also like kind of influenced by Lil Wayne too. So Lil Wayne in like what the probably 2008 to 2012 was one of the biggest music stars in the world, and that's because he was everywhere. Maybe the biggest music star in the world at the time, or definitely as far as like urban music goes. And it was because he was everywhere. This dude was putting out a mixtape every other day, it felt like, and being on everyone's feature. And so I'm just like, okay, we got to pump out as much content as we can. Like, how do we get just as much content out? So when we jumped on YouTube, we were putting out episodes twice a week, every week, for like 6 months. And for anyone who doesn't work in animation, that's a ton of work, an almost impossible amount, honestly. We were putting out episodes. We'd put out Monday morning episode. As soon as the episode's out, we go promote it across all of our social medias, blast it, interact with people. And then as soon as we're done with that, we start writing an episode that's coming out on Thursday. And then we got to edit the episode or rewrite the episode maybe a couple times, do voiceovers. We take the voiceover, plug it into the animation software, and animation is very time consuming, very tedious. So we get like those first few steps done, and then we're animating until Wednesday night or Thursday morning. There were times where, you know, we would literally like barely sleep at all, and there were times when, we're trying to meet these deadlines that we put on ourselves, and I'm trying to sit here and animate, and my brother's like taking a break, taking a nap, and like we're like going in, we're literally like we got to get this out, and how do we go. It's like he's on his like napping shift, and then it's like 3-4 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, and we're trying to get this thing out in like 5 hours from now. I'm like, yo, man, I'm too tired. I gotta go to bed. Can you work on this? He gets out. He's like, yeah, I got it. He's like, I'll do the rest of it. And it was just like something like that, like literally every week, man. And it was, just a head down grind, and that wasn't even like a long grind. It felt like a long grind, like when we were doing the YouTube stuff, and but it was yeah, like literally 6 months of barely sleeping, barely time for anything except making our dreams come true. And that was, I mean, that 6 months of just ferocious work catapulted us into everything that we're doing now. So yeah, I don't think there's, to go back to your question that you asked me forever ago. I don't think I would change too much, man. The only thing I would change is I would not bomb the pitch.
But yeah, I mean, like,
make it a better sale. But yeah, the leading up to that, like everything like went perfect. Really, it really did. And
right.
then that was just from doing our due diligence, and what the biggest thing was for us was we reached out to people even before we were with Comedy Central. We reached out to everybody who was even a tiny bit of a somebody, just reaching out to them. Anyone who had already done what we were trying to do, we reached out to everybody and just asked for advice. Like, what would you do? Like, this is what we're doing. Like, do you have any advice? And we didn't ask for anything except that, maybe a little guidance. And so I think that was like a huge thing for us, and like why we were able to be so successful like so early, because we were literally making a show on YouTube for like 5-6 months in Comedy Central, and then we started working with Comedy Central immediately. And that was just from being smart enough to ask questions to people who are smarter than you. So it's like whatever you're doing, to just copy what everyone else is doing or ask them for advice. And like what you just asked me, that was a question we asked people a lot. Like, what would you do, when you were starting out doing things similar to this with entertainment, maybe not cartoons, but still, whether it's stand-up comedy or producing other shows and this and that. And that was a question we used to ask people all the time, was what would you do different? Like looking back on it. And so to be able to get, quality sound advice from people who are ready and willing to help, who are way more successful than you, is like the best thing you can do, is just ask questions to people who already know the answer, instead of having to find the answer on your own, because it'll take 100 times longer to find it versus just emailing somebody who already knows, you know. So yeah, I don't think, you know, leading up to the everything before the pitch meeting, I don't think there was probably a single thing I would change.
Right. I mean, in that trend, that kind of goes back into something else that I always sit there and try to conversate with people. And it's like, even younger kids out here now, a lot of times you sit down and you talk to some of them. And sometimes you'll hear this like, hey, I just want to, live life on my own and figure out my own mistakes. And I'm like, I don't know where that came from because that's actually bad fucking parenting.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst. Like I mean, I get it. We all are on this own path, and sometimes there are certain circumstances that like this is something I got to figure out on my own, and that definitely happens. But when you're trying to navigate a career, I don't know if that's the time. Whenever, unless you're trying to do something completely new that's never been done before.
But what's
But even
what's
then,
never been
still,
done? What's never been done? You know what I mean? Everything's been fucking
you
done,
know,
right? Everything's been
it's
basically
either
done.
been done there's always something close enough that you should be asking those people that did something, even if it's way different, you know. So yeah, I don't know where that kind of advice came from, but there are sometimes certain circumstances. But yeah, when you're trying to build a life and navigate a career and do, you know, especially if if you had a deep rooted dream that you're trying to make come true, that's not the time to figure everything out on your own. That's the time to I mean, you're only as strong as your team, and so you gotta build a good team around you and get good advice from people who are more successful than you, and you know, just that's how you maximize your success. Is, you know, what's the saying? Uh, it's like, alone you'll go fast, but together you'll go far. So you can either go fast for a short distance, or you can go far if you know you're taking advice from other people, building this team, making sound decisions based on quality information and advice. And but yeah, man, I couldn't agree with you more. I don't know where that came from.
I mean, I've literally heard it from even some relatives. They will come out and they'll just
Hmm.
start doing something, and I'm like, hey man, why didn't you ask me to do that or ask me for some
Yeah,
advice? You have no idea what the
yeah,
fuck you're doing, and I've done it
yeah,
in a
yeah,
great way.
yeah,
I've had success in
yeah,
that way. You've never had any success, but yet they'll ask their friends or somebody else who doesn't know what they're doing, and then come back to me saying, "Hey, look, I've
yeah,
got this thing. Check it out." And I'm like, "That's good. You took up, the opportunity to explore it on your own, but you could have saved yourself a lot of battle wounds and mistakes and errors if you would have got
yeah,
the code.
yeah.
Like we were playing Nintendo
Mhm.
games or things like that back in the day. So it's like, we always, we would get the codes from people who knew it or the cheat sheets to things that to
Yeah,
people that kind of
yeah,
knew it, so we can
yeah,
get ahead in the game and win faster. The more you learn
yeah,
as far as like those little small trinkets of cheat sheets that can help you, bypass all the bullshit, the
yeah,
the
yeah.
better it can be for your success. It can speed it up. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's do you want to play the game with or without the instruction manual?
Oh,
You
totally.
know, it's like exactly like this video game analogy that you're talking about. You know, so our first video game system we had the Nintendo. Actually, no. Well, either way, I'm gonna go to Sega because we played Mortal Kombat on Sega,
Gotta
and
love
Mortal
that.
Kombat comes with the book of moves. The booklet has moves in it, so you can either take 10 minutes to skim this real quick, or you can jump in the game and get killed real quick, and you can try to figure out how to do the moves as you're playing, and you know that's fine, but it's gonna slow you down. So I like that, you know, so many people willing to just jump in. Like I just jumped in and started doing it, and that's cool. Jump in and start doing it, but as soon as you jump in, start asking other people how they did it, and you know you can do both simultaneously, but you can't do just jump in and you know
Right,
figure
especially
it out,
people
whatever it
that are
is.
around you that have done it at a higher level. Well, I'll ask other
Yeah,
people around you who
yeah,
have done it at a small level. But I think some people take it as,
yeah,
well, hey, it's not exactly like what you did, so therefore, I think that's cool, or I think that I'm doing something new. And it's like, dude,
hmm,
you're not doing anything fucking new. You're not doing
right.
anything that far from new. If you're doing something that far from new, it obviously is not going to work out that well, right? It's who are you to do that? I mean,
Most of the time,
you got to be
yeah.
Elon
No,
Musk.
it depends on what you're doing. It depends. Yeah, I was gonna say it depends on what you're doing and who you are. Um, but yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know where that came from. But yeah, if you want to maximize your success, then you gotta learn from people who already know the game.
Yeah, man. I mean, not even just who learned the game, but also who you can, if you have them within reach, you need to, you think you would use
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, okay, so for what we did, with the cartoons and everything, we weren't. Like I said, we reached out to everybody, but we weren't reaching out to like Seth MacFarlane and Trey Parker and Matt Stone and Matt Groening. Like these guys are like super duper legends that have been in the game 20 plus years. Like we are not in a position. We're not going to get through to them. We're not going to get past our gatekeeper. And even if we do, they're not going to hit us up. They're going to be like, these YouTube kids like that are doing nothing and have like 8 episodes out. Like we ain't got time for that. So you gotta reach out to people who, like, most people are pretty much always willing to give advice if that's all you're asking for and you're not asking for like a handout or anything like that. But you gotta reach out to people who are like a little bit more successful than you, and then you get to their level, and then you reach out to someone a little bit more successful than them, and then you get to their level, and then so on and so forth. So you can always reach out to someone like you said within reach, like Trey Parker, Matt Stone. They're not the creators of South Park. They're not in reach, but there's a ton of people who are making cartoons on YouTube right now who are just doing cartoons on YouTube that were way more successful than us, that were making money on their cartoons. At least we can reach out to them. They'll tell us. We can reach out to like assistants in the programming department at Comedy Central. They might hit us back. And so we just started reaching out to everyone. And honestly, one thing we did was, if you were working at Comedy Central when we were doing stuff on YouTube, there's pretty much no matter where you were at Comedy Central, if you were an accountant for Comedy Central, no matter where you were, decent chance you got an email from us, a cold email that was just like, hey, do you mind taking a look at what we're doing? Give us some advice, feedback, blah, 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 blah. Like, or maybe even ask, like, we're thinking of doing this. What would your next step be? Um, we sent out hundreds of emails to everyone at Comedy Central, and no one hit us back. No one. One person finally hit us back, and she was an assistant in the programming department, and we reached out to her with a cold message on LinkedIn, and she actually took the time to hit us back and was like, yeah, I'll give you some advice, and then sent her a link. And then she was like, this is hilarious, like send this to me every time you drop an episode. I want to keep up. And so yeah, she helped us out a lot just by replying to a message. And she actually moved up pretty quick. She's now an executive at another network. She's like a high up executive. And but yeah, that was how it started. She was a nobody. So now, like, we couldn't reach out to someone like her because now she's like killing it out here and doing her thing. But whenever she was a assistant in the programming department, who was like, she was still getting people coffee most of the time, and just like helping out here wherever she could. And like, she was in a position where you don't really have direct tasks. You just kind of do what everyone needs you to do to make these projects come to life. And then now she's a top-notch executive at one of these streaming networks out here in the comedy department. And from a cold LinkedIn message, she hit us up, and no one else did. We sent emails, we sent cold LinkedIn messages to people. No one hit us back. Everyone ignored us. And then one person, but that's all it takes. Sometimes it just takes, you're always one connection away from changing your life. But I mean, you probably got to reach out to a couple hundred people to find that one person. But you're always one connection away from a life-changing experience.
Yeah, man.
So
That's crazy. I agree with you 100%. I mean, I think you talked about a lot of things. You talked about reflection. You talked about growth. You talk about, reaching out to people. But I would also say too as well, you didn't have the luxury of even having anybody in your family or within your reach immediately around you
none of
guys
that.
to even ask them advice. And what's odd to me is when some people do have that, they don't even take advantage of that because they think they're too cool, they have ego, or they're too prideful, or they think they're
Yeah,
an older age
yeah,
than
definitely.
them. So they feel like, oh, well, this person doesn't know how it is now, or we do it this way. They're a couple years older
Yeah,
than me, so they don't
yeah,
understand.
yeah,
There's ego.
exactly, and it goes exactly back to what you just said about that. That's your ego. You think you're too cool, or maybe you're bashful. What I don't know, but like we were trying to reach out to anybody and everybody. Like we didn't care. Like we were egos to the side. We don't care what, because we always had this mentality of what it takes. Like we're supposed to make cartoons and be funny and produce quality content and make people laugh and bring joy to people. And So we were gonna do it no matter what. Honestly, the only thing, and but yeah, we did get caught up in the ego thing definitely for a minute. So when we started working with Comedy Central, and like I said, that they helped us elevate our talent and our jokes and just the writing and everything. That was tough at first because we were like had this idea that no, we know what we're doing. This show is hilarious. It's super funny, and yeah, maybe it was, but it's like the quality still wasn't there, and that was this whole like there's a formula to writing a script. There's literally a formula that's like these are the steps, and you follow this, and that's what it is. And we didn't know that, and now and we were like, why does it got to be done this way? We don't want to do it this way. We want to do it this way because this is funnier. And they're like, yeah, well, you have to do it this way because this makes it better. And you can figure out how to make it funnier, but you got to make it better also. You can't just be funny and have people come watch your stuff. It's not how it works. And so that was like once we got over that, once we were like, okay, these so we were working with three people in on this project at Comedy Central. And once we got to the point to where we were like, okay, they obviously know way more than we do about the correct way to write comedy and structure a script and make an episode of a show flow the proper way. It's like they know way more than us. Like compared to them, we don't know anything except how to be funny. So once we accepted that and got over that, then it just like everything got better. Like and not just the show, like our relationship with them got better because we didn't have this wall of our ego acting like we knew everything anymore. And so once we got over that, that was like a big catalyst for just everything else because we like I don't know, just something about putting your ego to the side and just getting over stuff and being like whatever it takes to be great and be good at what we're doing. We don't care, like pride aside, and that'll just allow you to go so much farther.
Wow, that's deep. I think you said something that's magical. I think you said this whole wall of ego thing. That sounds pretty it's just a magical word, a wall of
Hmm.
ego. I think that's the best way to describe it as a wall of ego. And I think a lot
That's
of times.
that's what it felt like, and yeah, and then you knock that wall down, and now you're free to roam, and you can learn more. Like that's what it prevents you from doing is learning and getting better. You're gonna move slower. So if you want to move faster, you gotta be willing to collaborate, listen to other people, your ego aside, and just understand that in the grand scheme of things, you probably don't really know hardly anything about what you're even jumping into. So you gotta get that information from the people who have done it. And yeah, once you do that, man, everything else gets easier. The whole process gets easier, and it's just it's almost like unbelievable looking back on it how different it was prior to that. It was almost like a moment of like an epiphany of we don't know what the f we're talking about, they do, so let's listen to them. And just it changed everything.
Yeah, but you got to come to that point where you're humble enough to actually just realize that and be open towards that
Yeah,
energy. But when you go in there with that
yeah.
energy of like, no, I got it. Like I was watching this I think there's like this new fashion show kind of a show thing on I think it's on Netflix or something like that or HBO Max or something like that. And it's got like Offset and some other designers that are on the show and Offset and a couple other people in the design world are basically judging them based off of like streetwear and things like that. And it's like this one guy who was on the actual episode. He had this major ego, so he couldn't take constructive feedback. And as soon as somebody gave him
Mm,
that was an expert who did these type of things, gave him constructive feedback, he put up a wall of ego, as you said, right? It was just a big wall of ego,
hmm.
and he got kicked off the fucking show, and which I feel he deserved it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And man, that if we wouldn't have put our ego wall down, then they would have been like, get out of here, don't ever talk to us again. And that's the type of thing that in a town like this, I don't know how the fashion world works, but the entertainment world, and probably most business in general, if you're difficult to work with, if you got an ego, no one wants to work with you.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's that's
especially
just
in
that's
L.A.
reality. No one wants to work with you. And so if you have a reputation of they're difficult to work with, they got an ego problem, we don't really like them that much, no one's gonna work with you. And especially like if in our situation, if we wouldn't have done that, no one else would have ever worked with us again. We wouldn't have ever done anything with Showtime, with LOL Network, with the couple other like smaller places that we've done things with. because if a company like Comedy Central, who is such a big powerhouse here and owned by Viacom, which owns pretty much everything, if you got a bad relationship with Viacom, you might as well pack your bags and figure out a new career because it's over.
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean you could burn your bridges very far, and people remember things for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I know a guy out here who he does this thing. He's actually like really really successful now, but he had a show on Comedy Central like quite a while back. He had a cartoon on their show, and or a cartoon on their channel, and I heard from multiple people that he was difficult to work with. And but the thing is, like, he really wasn't though, because it was kind of one of them things. He was and he wasn't. It was kind of one of the things. He's new to this game, and he doesn't understand exactly how everything works and how like when you're doing a TV show, there's so many people who have input on it. Like the executives want to put their touch on it. The showrunner wants to put their touch on it. This guy over here thinks this joke is funnier. This guy over here thinks this joke is terrible. And so it's a lot of that. You got to figure out which you got to pick and choose your battles, and sometimes it's hard to know which ones to pick and choose, and you want to fight for everything, because at the end of the day, like, this is still a show you created. You still want it to be as good as possible and as funny as possible. And sometimes you got to kind of figure out how to have a shared vision with other people instead of just having your own vision. And it took his career a while to recover from being labeled difficult to work with, but that'll sometimes it'll kill it real quick.
Yeah, it will kill it, man. I mean, do you want to work with difficult people? You know, you're trying to give advice. You've worked
Yeah,
hard for shit, and then now this one person comes in there and tries to tell you how things really work. It's a lot of arrogance. I mean, there's a difference between
yeah,
being somebody who's an innovator who comes in and says, "Okay, well, this is how it's really going to work," and you're lucky that that actually happened if it ends up turning out that way. But 9 times out of 10, it
definitely.
typically doesn't. It typically doesn't. It typically doesn't.
Right.
Ends up
Right.
you end up
Yeah,
being fucking wrong.
there's off one-off cases here and there, but yeah, generally speaking, that's just not what happens.
Yeah, man, it is that way. I mean, so Trenton, where are you guys at right now with the show? What are you guys doing now?
So now, especially like during the pandemic, we took most of our energy and put it towards packaging up full-length shows to put on TV. We do have um, little company called RiOT Comedy. That's our brand, RiOT Comedy. And so we were doing a show on Instagram for a long time called Real Ballers, where we made fun of like all the NBA news cycle and that 24/7 drama that is that. And because we're diehard NBA fans, so any chance to like do any kind of NBA related show and make fun of it was super fun. And like doing that actually helped us end up doing the stuff with LOL Network and Showtime. And but yeah, lately we've been more so we're trying to package up shows for full length shows and get ready to pitch to networks again. We actually have a pitch with Netflix in like a month for one of our shows, and we have probably like 8 shows that probably 8 to 10 shows that are like pretty much ready to package up and sell. And so we're just a lot of the pandemic for us was, especially since no one's taken physical meetings. So that was kind of a benefit for us because people were more willing to take meetings with people that they didn't know, because it's a Zoom. It's like, oh, I got 30 minutes for this. I don't have to spend any time getting ready or going anywhere. You know, it's just I can just jump on this call real quick. And so we've just kind of been building relationships, um, and trying to get in good with the people who control Hollywood essentially. And so yeah, that's what we've been doing. And yeah, we got a pitch with Netflix in a month. We got a Actually, I think we have a pitch with a production company today. I don't know. I got to check my calendar. But
Yeah,
yeah.
gotta
So
do
that's
it.
that's what we've been doing. Meeting up with production companies, studios, and just taking as many meetings as we can and building relationships with people, and trying to get to that next level, because we're at a good level right now. But it's like it's cool, but this ain't the goal. We're keep it pushing, go to the next level. But yeah, that's what we're trying to do, is do a TV show, and eventually we want to jump into movies. We're not in a big hurry to do movies. We definitely, TV show is more our thing. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at in a nutshell. Just building. That's what we're doing: building, hustling, and just trying to do everything we can to get to the next spot.
Yeah, man, that's good. You guys are doing great so far. But you guys have been doing this for a while, right? You guys have been doing this since '08.
No. We started doing this. We produced our first project in 2015. So 2013, we decided we're gonna make cartoons. 2015, first thing came out. The rest of 2015, we did the YouTube stuff. 2016, 17, Comedy Central stuff. 2018, 19, 20, 21, bunch of random projects, and just building and meeting people.
So when did you
And
guys get to
yeah,
LA?
that's
I mean,
yeah,
like, when
we're
did you
trying to.
guys actually get out to LA?
We moved to LA. We got here May 2016.
Ah,
So yeah, just over 5 years we've been here.
got it. So I thought you had said earlier that you guys were, start buying your equipment and stuff like that around 2008, 2012, prior
Yeah,
or something.
2013.
Ah, okay, okay.
Mm.
I got that wrong. I got that wrong, guys. Yeah,
It happens. Happens to
yeah,
the best of us.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, so
But
you guys got all your stuff and you start producing cartoons, and now you're on this road to where you guys are, want to pitch something to Netflix. What do you guys,
hmm
I don't know if you can say it, but what do you think? What do you want to pitch to Netflix? What are you trying to work on?
I don't know if I can say it.
What's your goal? How about that? What is your goal? What is your
You know,
goal?
you know what, honestly, I'll take it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I won't go into too many details, but so this show, The Lounge, we actually kind of changed it up a little bit and did a rebrand, and now it's called Best Buds, and we switched up some of the characters a little bit, added some new characters, gave the show more depth and more opportunity for super funny storylines. So it's called Best Buds now. And that's what we're pitching to Netflix, and then we have a show right now. I'll tell you about that one because like that one's out. Like the lounge exists, so no one's gonna like steal those ideas and stuff. It doesn't matter. But we're working on another project. Super funny concept and hilarious. Just everything about it. With I don't know if you know who Adam Ray is. He's a comedian. He's on board to do it and do a voice on the show. And David Ketchner, he is a actor slash comedian. David Ketchner, he's Todd Packer in The Office. He's also, if you've seen Anchorman, he's Champ Kind, the guy that wears the cowboy hat and says whammy. But he plays like the boss in the show, and his character is so funny, and like David's voice is perfect for it. Like even better than what we thought, because me and my brother, we do voice acting too, and I was experimenting with some stuff, and I think it should sound kind of like this. And then David, and I didn't tell David I want it to sound like this. That was just an idea that me and my brother had, because I didn't want to tell David try to do it like this. I wanted him to bring whatever he wanted to bring and kind of do his own thing. And he's a professional, so I trust him. But he came up and did something completely different, and it worked great. Like he killed it. And so I'm excited to like really make this project happen with him. And also Nikki Glazer kind of wants to be on the project too, but she hasn't committed to it because she got a stand up tour coming up. Um, but so yeah, just trying to put these projects together, put talented people on it. Um, and one of our shows we have um, Brian Graydon agreed to be the executive producer on the show, and which is huge for us because Brian Graydon is he found the South Park guys and produced uh, and developed South Park in the beginning, and so to be able to work with someone like that who was like this dude was like hugely influential in my life because without him South Park probably doesn't exist. Actually, it definitely doesn't. Like going back to the story about how South Park even came to be, like so yeah, to be able to work with a legend like that and have him agree to produce one of our shows, it was super cool to us. And so yeah, that's what we've been doing, building connections, getting producers attached to shows, and then trying to package them up and take them to a streamer like either Netflix or Hulu or whoever it may be, whoever's kind of on brand with our comedy. And so yeah, that's where we're at.
Wow, that's crazy. Great stuff, man. So, like, you know, what do you feel about LA? How do you feel it's different from Missouri?
Oh man,
What's your
it's
pros and
so
cons?
different.
What's your pros and cons? What do you like? What do you don't like? Like, what do you feel? What's your vibes?
Let me say, I love Los Angeles. I love living here. The biggest pros is there's endless things to do. There's an entertainment, concerts, comedy clubs. The beach is close. Um, my only complaint here is the same as everyone else, the traffic, man. And and not even just the traffic, but there's so many people here that wherever you go, there's a line there. Grocery store, line. You got to go to the bank. You got to wait in the line. So, that was kind of different for me because I mean I get the traffic, but I didn't even think about like if I was in Missouri, if I got to go to the bank, I'm in and out, no time. Here, I'm in line for 15 to 20 minutes. So if I have to go into the bank, which isn't that often, but going into the bank, it's like one of the worst experiences here, it seems like, because there's always just a thousand people there in your way. um, but yeah, everything else I love. Just if 10 million people would leave Southern California, because there's like 18 million people in Southern California, if we could get that down under 10 million people, I think this would probably be the best place in the world, and it wouldn't even be close. And because everyone I know who hates LA hates the traffic, and it used to bother me too, but now I listen to audiobooks in the car, so the traffic doesn't bother me at all. But yeah, all the pros, honestly, everything. Um, unlimited things to do. I love Los Angeles. Love living here. Love that there's opportunity. And you know what the biggest thing is for me is, so where I grew up in a small town of about 1,200 people, and small, tiny rural community in the middle of nowhere. And in places like that, I grew up, always knowing I was going to end up in either LA or New York. I always wanted to be somewhere where there was a lot of things happening, a lot of opportunity, and most importantly, I wanted to be around people who think the way I think. Because back home in this small town that I'm from, nobody thinks like on a grand scale of success. Like no one thinks like I'm gonna be rich and live an amazing life and travel the world and do all these great things that I see people do on TV, because it's not in front of you. You have no idea. Like you don't see that at all. You don't see people who even think like that and aspire to do that. So to be in LA and be able to meet people every day who are trying to do the same thing I'm doing and live a cool life, and just live extravagant and have fun doing it. And so to be around people who are also striving for high levels of success, that is something that like that's my favorite thing about LA. Is just being able to be around people that think the way I think. And yeah, Missouri is way different. It's a lot slower. I like the fast pace of LA. I like this hustle bustle. Let's go. Um, I mean, there's a lot of good things about Missouri. I'm glad I don't do my day to day living there anymore. I got a lot of family back there. I love going to visit. If you're ever in Missouri, go to Lake of the Ozarks if you can, because it's literally the funnest lake in America. Um, and yeah, aside from that, I mean, I'd rather be in like St. Louis or Kansas City. I'm not like a small town country type of. It's not my speed. But yeah, LA though, love it out here. Very
Wow.
different.
Yeah, man. I mean, like the Ozark. That's from like a Netflix show, right?
Yeah, so I haven't seen that show really. I've seen like
What?
two episodes,
No.
but yeah, and honestly, I don't really watch any TV for real. Well, okay, that's not true. I don't watch any shows that are serial. So if you got to watch a show from the beginning and watch every episode to keep up with the storyline, I don't watch those anymore. Um, I spend if I'm gonna. Here's the thing. I'm a diehard NBA fan, like I said. So during the NBA season, I get in plenty of TV time then, because I watch probably too much basketball, honestly. So when the NBA season is over, that's like super bittersweet for me. It's bitter because I miss basketball immediately, but it's sweet and amazing because my productivity just skyrockets because I'm never in front of the TV. I only watch like a couple of shows that are comedy. Like I watch Rick and Morty. When South Park is new, I watch South Park, and like just the cartoons. That's all I watch is like 30-minute cartoons, which without commercials, it's like a 22-minute episode. I got time for that. But I don't like to sit and have to watch and keep up and watch an hour show every week. And honestly, I get kind of bored watching movies and stuff, which is kind of funny that this is like the route that I chose to jump into. But yeah, so I don't watch any serial shows, just the half-hour comedies.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's interesting stuff too, as well, man. I mean, I feel like, I don't know sports. I don't watch sports. I don't watch sports. I've
Mm,
played them, but I don't watch them. And the funny thing I always sit there and tell people
yeah.
all the time is like when they say, "Oh man, you don't watch sports," I'm like, dude, I don't want to watch somebody just make a couple million while I'm sitting on my ass on the couch. Nah.
It- Hey, if you're watching TV shows, they're doing the same thing.
That's a fact. But I feel like
You know?
there's something I might be able to absorb from that, right? I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think they're
yeah, I
making
feel
as
that.
much as some of these basketball and sports people are, when you're just
No, no,
watching for
no,
like an
for sure,
hour.
for sure. Yeah, but yeah, for me, it's like I like sports too because it's most of the time unscripted, and I feel like I can every time I watch a show or movie, I know how it's gonna end every time. Like nine times out of 10, I'm right, unless you got like a really good writer who twists things up. And but yeah, for the most part,
Have
like
you
I'll
ever
be
have you ever
watching.
have you ever watched Power?
I've not.
Oh my
I've not.
God, you will not be able to predict that actual show. You won't be able to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean it has to be good. They have like two spin-offs of it too,
Yeah,
and and it's super popular. But yeah, I haven't taken the time to watch it. Like
it's
I said,
it's
The NBA is my TV time, man. It consumes too much of my time, so that's a big part of it. I really just don't like to. I don't want to spend hours a week because during the NBA season, I watch about 6 hours of TV a week. I watch like two games, maybe three. Well, that's like 6 to 9 hours of TV. So I don't have time for any other TV during the week because that's just for me. It's too much. It's too much. It eats into my productivity. And honestly, if I sit on the couch for a couple hours and stare at a TV screen, I can just feel my energy draining. I can feel my vibration lowering. I can feel myself slightly becoming like maybe depressed isn't the word because depressed kind of people jump to like depression and whatever, but I can feel myself like just being a 0.5% unhappier like every every few minutes, you know, and it drains me. So I don't like to really sit around and watch the. I think it's I don't know if it's the screens, the blue light, or maybe just sitting down
what are
and
you watching?
doing something mindless. But what do you say?
What are you watching when
It
you're
doesn't
watching?
matter, man.
It doesn't matter. Are you
It
sure?
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Nah, if I sit down and watch anything for a long time, and like that's what it's for a long time. Like I can watch an hour episode of something and easily like I'm cool. But yeah, if I binge watch a show and watch a handful of episodes in a day, it just drains my energy, and I just feel like ugh, you know.
Right. How many hours of sleep do you get?
6 or 7.
6 or 7. So what are you
I
doing most of the day?
Yeah, yeah.
You're not watching TV. What are you doing?
Um, my day is pretty structured for the most part. Honestly, I'm a 5 a.m. type of person most of the time, and like almost always. I mean, sometimes you gotta catch up. Your body's telling you to rest, and you stay in bed till 6:37. But yeah, most days I get up at 5, and the first thing I do is I get up and I meditate, and then I do Wim Hof breathing, and then I hit the gym, and then I send out orders for my coffee company, and then I either have meetings to go to or like be on in a Zoom anyway, or I'm figuring out new ways to sell coffee to people, and or writing jokes, writing scripts. Um, really, like the first part of my day is really structured. I just have like a really solid morning routine towards like everything from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. is pretty scheduled, planned. I don't like write it down because it's the same mostly every day. I'll switch it up a little bit, but and then the rest of the day I'm just either yeah, just working on whatever. Sometimes I have it depends there's always like an obligation that comes up, so it's always work related though. But the work that I do, I don't feel like I'm working. Like what I do is fun. Like I love writing jokes. I write a in doing the cartoons in general. I love being creative, so that's an outlet for me to express myself without it feeling like work. And then so yeah, and then the coffee thing too. I love figuring out ways to grow this business and and reach people. And also like so I was talking about earlier, like why I started the coffee company. Um, I had a heart attack when I was 20 years old. So I recently, in the last few years, I pretty well for the most part gave up caffeine. So I was kind of looking for something because I love coffee. I love the smell of it, the taste of it. I like my morning routine. The just it makes the day better. It feels like. So I don't do caffeine anymore. So I kind of stumbled across date coffee just randomly because I just found myself I eat a lot of dates and I was throwing away a lot of the seeds. And so I googled like, can you do anything with these? You can roast them, turn them into coffee. So it kind of started like that, and I started just making it for myself and got tired of making it for myself. I wanted to buy it at the store, but I couldn't find it. So I'm like, okay, here's an opportunity. I can do this. There's got to be millions of people like me, right? That either can't do caffeine or want to cut back, live healthy, or whatever it is. I'm not like out here trying to convince people to give up coffee, but if you're one of those people that were already thinking about it or you don't do caffeine, I'm trying to kind of provide something for that. So I started Korma, and it's KORMA. That's the brand. It's KORMA Date Coffee. You can go to kormacoffee.com, and that, you know, yeah. So it was just, a way to not only start another business, which is fun, and make money, which is also fun, but also help other people who are in situations like me. So it was like a win-win-win all the way around. And so that takes up a lot of my time anymore, especially right now. Yeah, that's a ton of my time.
Wow, that's amazing. So how did you? What got you guys to coffee? You're doing this comedy to coffee, like
I
you
fell into it,
know?
man. I fell
Did
into it. Like
you?
I said, it was just kind of randomly. I was just I googled what can I do with all these date seeds I'm throwing away, and then it kind of just turned into this whole thing that now it's out of control, and I couldn't stop if I wanted to.
Wow. So now you got addicted to dates. Why dates?
Oh man, you ever had one before? They're delicious, man. They're so good.
Nah.
But there's a varieties of dates. I like them, the jewels. They're like the big juicy ones, and yeah, and they're super good for you. They're considered a superfood, so that's a big reason why too. Like they can help regulate blood sugar. They're great for digestion. They're great for brain health. Great for your skin. Like it's literally like there's no drawback to this fruit, and unless, I mean, I guess some people could possibly be allergic to it, but um, yeah, there's no drawbacks. And there's even more benefits that I'm even like not even thinking about right now. And so to be able to turn that into coffee, and it's full of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, rich in iron. It's like this superfood cocktail, man. So, and it actually tastes pretty close to coffee. Like I've tried a lot of the coffee alternatives, and some of them are really good, but I haven't had any that tastes as close to coffee as Korma. So it was exactly what I was looking for. Real energy throughout the day without no jitters, no crash. And I get all these health benefits that go along with it, and still get to have my morning coffee whenever I feel like, or have it in the afternoon, or even before bed, because it's like, yeah, it's natural energy, but it's natural energy like food, to where it's not gonna keep you up. If you ate an orange at 10 o'clock at night, it ain't gonna keep you up all night. Um, but so yeah, it's kind of just fell into it, man. Just happened to be because it's heart healthy, and that's a big part of my mission. So, and I'm like, I say I get up at 5 a.m. I meditate, I do all these other things. So I'm like on this like mission to live as long as possible, and I'm shooting for 100 plus. I'm shooting for like 110 years old. So this I can't have caffeine if I'm gonna do that, because it makes my chest feel tight, and so I stay away.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. My father had a heat stroke at like age, like I think 18 or something like that. So I definitely get it. Yeah, man, it
Wow.
can happen to you. Yeah, man, stress and thinking
Hmm.
about things can get you. You got to regulate that stress, and coffee and stuff like that can
Yeah.
only increase it. What do you think were some of the
Yeah.
triggers that kind of what was on your mind around the time when you had that stroke? Do you think you were stressing any period of that time or?
No, no, not really. So yeah, what caused my heart attack was I um I have two aneurysms in my LAD, which that's like one of the main arteries in your heart. It supplies blood to the bottom left side. So that quarter of your heart, your blood comes through your LAD. Um so an aneurysm is essentially whenever your artery wall weakens and it expands. So it'll kind of expand like a balloon. So instead of your blood flowing straight through there, it'll kind of get caught there, and it'll tumble and spin around and clot, right? So cause a heart attack. And but luckily, my before that happened, my heart must like kind of already detected that something was going on, and it started developing new arteries around it, so my heart could still get blood to that part, because otherwise that would have killed me. And I didn't even know it was possible for the heart to do that, but it is, and it saved my life. So yeah, it was quite an experience, man. And it was just it was so tough to go through something like that, because you're literally like 20 years old, laying in a hospital bed for a week. You don't know if you're gonna live or die. You don't know what gonna look like, what the next few years especially are gonna look like. Um, so when you're 20 years old and you're forced to come to grips with mortality and think about the possibility of death, which I think before this, I think myself and probably most 20-year-olds, you don't think about time as something that's finite, right? You're just out here living your life, and you kind of live like maybe you're gonna live forever, or live like it's just not on your radar. So to be able to it was kind of a blessing for sure, because that kind of, I've always been a driven person, but that just pushed me even further because I live my life like it could happen again. And I try to tell people like right now, like 20 seconds, you could pass out and wake up in a hospital and a doctor tells you you have leukemia. Probably not gonna happen, but it could. So that's how I live my life. Like it could be over like pretty soon, and I think that's gonna help me stay young and live longer because I tie that into my purpose. And it was yeah, it was a blessing, but it was terrifying. It was weird. It was different. It was so many things, and it was but yeah, quite an experience that definitely like played such a big role in shaping the rest of my life. So it was quite an experience,
Wow,
but it
Trenton.
led to so many things.
Yeah. So, like, what do you think caused the actual blood clots? Did they know like what happened, like, or the
No,
weak
no, we don't
the
have a clue.
wall
Like
artery,
because
like
we
what
don't
you?
have anything. It just happens sometimes. Bruce Lee died of a brain aneurysm, so it just happens. So it's just a malfunction, glitch. I don't have
Any
a history of
preventative
heart
things that you
issues in my
could do?
family. No, 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 not to stop an aneurysm. It's just like you just hope you don't have one.
Ah,
Most people don't, but it's just like one of those freak accident things.
but you weren't having an
And
aneurysm though.
no, an aneurysm is whenever the aneurysm caused the heart attack.
Ah, you actually were having an
Yeah.
aneurysm.
Well, yeah, yeah. But the aneurysm causes the heart attack. So an aneurysm is just like I said, like your artery wall gets weak. So the artery wall gets weak, and the blood clots, and the clot is it causes the heart attack because your heart's not working properly to get pump the blood. So, but yeah, luckily, like my heart developed those arteries around it. So now my heart has completely normal function. And like me and my cardiologist, we did like every test in the book last summer. We did the 3D imaging, we did the ultrasound, we did the stress test on the treadmill. And he was basically like, yeah, it's basically like a miracle that you're as healthy as you are, because whenever you have a heart attack, whatever damage is done to your heart, that never repairs. Your heart just has to work with what it's got. But my heart had so little damage, it was almost even impossible to find whenever we were doing the ultrasound. He's like, this is like crazy. He's like, you're so lucky. You pretty much you just live your life and do normal. It's like I'm not worried about you with anything. So that was pretty good and reassuring to hear. But yeah, so kind of a crazy experience, but very lucky to be in the position that I'm in, to where I don't have any long term issues and everything is great. Like I work out 5 days a week, 6 days a week. Um, live life, but I also eat really healthy. I've always okay, but I definitely kicked it up a little bit in more recent years,
What are you,
and I
Trader
eat
Joe's
like
now?
mostly whole foods.
Okay, Whole Foods. All right.
I, I like Trader Joe's, but I don't really like Trader Joe's that much because I don't like their produce section, man. Most of what I buy is fruits and vegetables, and maybe some. I do eat meat, but not a ton. So Trader Joe's doesn't have the good produce. I go to Ralph's. They got the best produce in my neighborhood.
Rouse.
They got the best. So that's where I go.
Yeah, I gotta love Rouse, man.
Whoever's got the best fruits and veggies, man, that's where you'll find me.
There you go. There you go, Rouse. So let me ask you another quick question. This might have something to do anything. I mean, to do with. Do you think like there's might be some medical situations or issues maybe with your blood circulation and stuff like that?
No, no, there's not. Like that was kind of part of the test too. So we did one of the tests we did. We essentially, uh, it's essentially a CT scan
Mm-hmm.
basically, and they put a little bit of iodine in you so you can really see the blood flowing better, and completely normal circulation, blood flow, heart function, all that completely normal. So yeah, again, super lucky to be able to
But
say
so
normal.
right, right. So, but like I'm saying, like, does your hair grow out like fully? Is it like fully, or is it, or are you going like male pattern, baldness, or anything like that, or is this just like you just buzz your hair off? Weird ass question,
No, no,
but
no. This is
does it grow out
going
fully?
away on its own.
Okay, no, because
It'll grow out, but it's super thin on the top.
yeah, but because
So when it's buzzed, it looks fairly normal,
right,
but
it
it's not.
does, it does, it looks normal, but like
Yeah.
I don't know, when people shave their hair off really low like that, sometimes it could be like because it's like usually balding, or they just want to look cool, and strong and buff. That's a new thing in
Not
LA.
mine's going away on its own. I'm gonna have a full horseshoe soon. It's gonna be all going on the top pretty soon. My
Right.
my hairline, like I got an older brother who's 5 years older than me, and our hairlines have receded the same way at damn near the same time. and as far as like our ages go. And yeah, his is gone, so I know mine's coming too. All the men on my mom's side of the family are bald.
So does it come from the mom side?
Oh yeah, yeah. My dad, full head of hair, thick hair,
Wow.
luscious black hair.
You're like jealous. You're like, hey, give me that fucking hair, man.
Yeah, I know, right? And so I got four brothers. There's five of us. Four of us are bald, and then one of us has full head of hair like my pops.
Wow. He didn't get that gene.
He was the only one. He was the only one. But he's the
Lucky
shortest
Joker.
one, so I'd rather be a little
Oh.
taller than have the
Oh.
hair, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, the height matters. The height matters. Girls like the
Yeah,
height.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Although he's got some luscious locks, so I'll give it to him.
Luscious
But,
Locks. Is that his name?
yeah, it is now.
Right? There we go. Luscious Locks could be on your new cartoon.
Showing up.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. I mean, the reason why I asked that is because they tie male pattern baldness or thinning of some sense usually to some type of blood circulation.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it
Okay.
usually has something to do with like it's DHT, but then also blood circulation and an imbalance in the hormones and things like that. They say it's like attached to the DNA of some ways, and so it programs. There's some type of
Yeah.
program that causes it to just start falling out. But they say a lot of that. I mean, it can be through stress and things like that, but a lot of it is usually through some type of genetics, and sometimes it's
Yeah.
predominantly like because the blood circulation gets blocked, right? The DHT starts
Yeah.
blocking it, and so
Mhm.
some people just have
Yeah.
like their blood circulation is a little bit better.
Mhm.
And if
I have to do more research into that. That's interesting info to come across.
the only reason why I was tagging that because you said earlier that you had this aneurysm issue, and like
Yeah,
with the blood, and then like, and I'm like, I'm wondering if there's like some, if there's some interesting,
There's correlation.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know any about any of that you just mentioned, so I'm gonna have to see what's up and do a little diligence of my own. But yeah, all the men on my mom's side of the family are bald though, so I probably attribute it to that because my blood flow feels normal. I played sports growing up forever, but the hair started falling out pretty soon. So I don't. I feel like my blood has always been flowing pretty well, but it started.
But I guess it's
Started pretty
like blood
soon.
circulation towards the top of the head, sometimes isn't as
Mhm.
good, and the DHT starts blocking it, right? So that ends up being some
Maybe if I
type of like
hang upside
situation.
down, maybe if I hang upside down, my blood flow to my head will be better, and my hair will come back.
I wonder. I think once it's dead, it's fucking done, right? I think once it dies, it's done, right? Unless there's some new genetic DNA
I
pill
don't
that can
know.
come out
I don't know.
that can cause people.
I never looked into it because I never thought there was a solution to going bald, unless you want to get like the hair plugs or something like that. But who's got like $40,000 to spend on their hair? It's not
No,
that
they've got
important
all
to me,
kinds of shit now. They've got shit where, there's things that you can. I mean, they have these things like where people are drawing. Like one of my friends has this business, or her boyfriend has this business where they like literally draw like hairlines on people's heads, and I was like, what the hell is this?
I've seen people get hairline tattoos, and I'm like, but then if I don't know, I feel like if you go a day or two without shaving your head, then you have like a bunch of real hair sprouted out along the sides, and then just like this funky looking tattoo, like weird. I don't know.
I guess you'd have to
I don't
kind of
know.
keep it kind of mildly, on a like a 1/8 or something like that of some type of like
I don't know.
guard.
I don't know if it's not something I want to do. So I'm okay with going bald. It doesn't bother me.
No, some people look great going bald. I mean,
So
you gotta have the head. You've got the head, you know,
yeah, I got lucky.
and you got the
So
you got the chin with the little beard thing going on. So that
yeah, that's why I just rock the stubble.
you got the
The
John
stubble on the
B.
bald head. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a good look.
So that's,
Someone called me that. Someone called me that one time. I used to bartend at this spot, and I used to bartend at this hotel, and this one dude used to come in all the time. And then one day I came in with glasses, and I didn't typically wear glasses to work. I'm wearing glasses right now, but I came in wearing these glasses, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I see you, John B." I'm like, does John B wear glasses? I don't even remember this dude. But yeah,
it's the jawline. It's the jawline with
Yeah.
the little scuffle beard. That's what it
The
is,
stubble,
dude.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what
That's
it is.
funny.
It's kind of like John Beats. Yeah, man. That's crazy, man. So, yeah, I mean, what did you hear about the robots? Did you hear about the robots? What do you think about the robots? Elon Musk robots.
Which robots?
Have you not heard about the robots?
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. I've heard about the robots. I try to keep up with technology as it is because I'm super fascinated by it. It's like it is a little bit scary, but at the same time, it's like I'm excited for it. I love it. I want to see how far humans can go with our technological advancements and the things we accomplish. So I'm all for AI. I love seeing what these things are capable of and what we can do with them. Now they are getting to a point where like, so here's the good thing about Elon Musk's, which this is what he says, and he's no one else will probably do this, but he said they won't be strong enough to overpower an average human. But I don't know if you're familiar with the robots that I think the company's called Boston Dynamics, the ones
Yeah.
that they're building.
Yeah, Boston
Have
Dynamics.
you
Yeah.
ever seen any? Have you ever seen any of the tests that they're doing on
Of
their robots?
course.
Because they're like, these robots are like fighting machines, damn near, if you want them to be. And like I saw a video where they had this robot is carrying something. I don't remember what it was, but it was kind of heavy, and it's like jumping on these boxes. It's like doing an obstacle course carrying stuff, and they're like slapping him with 2x4s and stuff, trying to knock him down, and he won't even fall. And I'm like, this is intense. This is like step one. This is we're about to be living in the Terminator, right? Like like Boston Dynamics is like Dynatech. I think is that what the company's called? Dynatech?
I don't know the
In
actual official
Terminator?
name, but I just know it's Boston Dynamics, and it's out of Boston, and it's like I think a lot of
Yeah,
MIT
yeah.
students work there.
But in Terminator, that what's his name? Miles?
Yeah, yeah.
This dude, the robots are coming.
I mean, weren't they
So
always
we
coming?
gotta.
Weren't they always coming? Aren't they kind of late?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Aren't they kind of late?
You know what? They're not coming. They're here.
Right.
So,
But aren't
and
they
are
late?
kind of late because we're late with everything, man. That's what humans do. We suck at doing things right. Like we take us too long to figure stuff out. We should have been using electric cars before I was born. Like
Easy.
we had the technology, but oil companies run the world, so that's what we're using still. Um, but yeah, I mean, we had the technology for it forever ago. We could have been having electric cars and robots too. Like that's why when people were making like sci-fi movies in the 70s and 80s, the year 2000, they were like robot wars and flying cars and stuff. And like we're 20 years past that now, and it's just now starting to arrive, and it's like it's not really going to be here for another probably 10 or so years, right? But yeah, we all thought it was going to happen in the year 2000, and we just been lagging.
I mean, I think it has to do with innovation, and I think it has to do with you need that leader, somebody who has that
Yeah,
buy-in, who's willing to
yeah,
put in the time and the innovation to do it.
yeah,
I think a lot of people,
yeah,
you have to have that right person. Elon Musk has that buy-in. He actually can say, "Hey,
yeah,
I'm the guy, and I'm going to create a robot," and people are going to get behind him with a lot of money. Whereas most people, that's not going to
definitely,
happen.
definitely.
You need an Iron Man.
Yeah, true. Yeah, definitely. And he's the closest thing we got to a real life one. But it's crazy. Like, there's a lot of people that are also super kind of like against the AI movement, this and that. And I get that to some degree. I don't know if you remember a few years ago, um, Facebook made these AI computers that were communicating with each other. And these computers made up their own language. They made up their own language, and we couldn't understand them anymore. So Facebook had to kill it. But like that's another thing that's coming, because I mean Facebook, let's be real, like they probably didn't even kill their program, because they probably just said they did. Who knows what's going on over there? But if not there, somewhere else. So these are things that we gotta navigate. What are we allowed to do? What's ethical? And then to what's after that is that you're gonna have these companies that are giving robots feelings, thoughts, desires. They're gonna be basically metal humans. So when you have something like that, you have something that's is it living? Is it not? Is it okay to kill this robot? Like where's the ethical line at? Well, once I mean right now, yeah, they're still just machines, but like soon they're gonna have thoughts and feelings and desires, and think and innovate, and not follow commands and do whatever they want to do. And like we're gonna see in our lifetime robots just living amongst us, like just walking around doing stuff and be like as if they were human.
Yeah, man. I mean, imagine, man. I mean, like, you might be in the times, man, to, where if you have, like, your significant other and they might be hooking up with a robot, leaving you for a robot.
Yo, for real
Just
though,
might have
I
to
never
do
even
it. That
thought about
robo
that.
dick
Can you
is
imagine
just the
getting
bomb.
can you imagine getting left for a robot? Like your girl breaks up, she's like, there's someone else, and then you just like get on Instagram a couple days later, and it's like pictures of her and a robot.
I mean, how could you outbeat it? Could you beat a robot? They can push on automatic vibration, things that you can't do.
Well,
You know what I
we
mean?
can
I
do things
mean,
they can't do too. Hey,
can we? I don't know. know. AI is so smart. The machine can just
They gonna put
increase
tongue,
its
are they
efficiency.
gonna put tongues in a robot? A
I'm
tongue that
sure
gets
they
wet?
are. I'm sure they
Yep,
are.
yep.
Come on, what's the most thing that people use and do on the internet? Look up porn.
That has to be the number one use for the internet,
So
right?
you know what's going to happen
Porn
with
and
robots.
mindless social media scrolling. Yeah,
They're going to make all kinds
yeah,
of stuff with tongues. They already have similar things like that previously. I mean, that currently exist, but they haven't gone as far
yeah.
as like making it like Elon Musk or Boston Dynamics. But imagine once you put a
Right.
layer of Elon Musk's, robots or bot, what he calls it, Tesla bot.
Hmm.
Imagine when
Yeah.
you put it to that point, and now you start thinking of things like that. This is just a doorway to making things more sophisticated. But I also wonder, like,
Yeah.
for more practical uses, it seems to me that it'd be a good idea for him to use these robots to actually launch off and start the settlement into Mars, right? They can build all the stuff
Ooh,
ahead of
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool.
So
I
this is
like it.
where I see it. I see him being useful for Mars and
Hmm.
exploration in space. So that way we
Yeah,
don't have to
yeah.
actually
That's
physically be there, and they can actually, take the
hmm
risk of dying and things like that before we even get there, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool. And I love the Mars stuff. I love that Elon's trying to go to Mars and this and that. Like there's so many people, especially that want to criticize now, especially with Jeff Bezos going to space and Richard Branson going to space, and I get the criticism to some degree, but the criticism I don't get is the people who think we don't need to go to space, we need to take care of Earth. We do need to take care of Earth, but we need to do both because eventually Earth is not going to be habitable for humans, no matter what we do. That's just the cycle of a planet. And so, do you want to have humans eventually just die here, even though that might be a million years from now, it might be 100,000 years from now. Who knows with the way what's going to happen to the planet and what the planet's going to do. But whenever that comes, you gotta be ready to go already. You can't be like, oh, the problem's here, now we got to solve it. Like, you got to solve the problem before it arrives for something like that. So, and like that's kind of what I was going back to earlier. I want to see the accomplishments that humans achieve. I wish there's part of me that wishes I was born in the future because I'm gonna like our lives. We're getting to see the tip of the iceberg for human exploration, human innovation, human accomplishment. We're just gonna see the tip of the iceberg, and there's gonna be so many amazing things that humans do after we're gone, and forever, as long as we're alive, until either we either maybe can't leave the planet or the robots kill us. But I wish I could see. I hope heaven's real, and I can just be up in heaven looking down on the earth and watch all this entertainment unfold like a TV show. And but yeah, I think I'm all for anything innovative. I love it. Any exploration, all that. Super awesome, fascinating to me.
I mean, what if like, these robots, and aliens are somewhat the same? What if they're futuristic people who've just, merged with the machines? And so now they've lost something. And so now they just come back to kind of revisit.
Everything is possible.
I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, what if? I mean, I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
there's,
definitely. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like our humans are probably going to eventually have some sort of merge with what
it's
we're
going to happen.
like. I think just our evolution as humans, even if it's 10, 15,000 years, we're going to be cyborgs to some degree of this mesh of humans. And, especially when you look at the things that we're doing with technology right now, it's like, let's say something happens to my hand, I get my hand cut off. We're going to like have really sophisticated that looks just like this, except it'll be like the Terminator when he like cuts his skin off and there's like metal underneath, right? It's going to be like that. Like what's it, iRobot, when Will Smith, he has like that whole metal arm that just looks like flesh, and your regular things like that. That's definitely coming no matter what. And like we're not far away from that. But there's going to be a phase after that too, where we are even a little bit more machine than that. um but
Yeah,
that's kind of like,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, that not to cut it off, but like Will Smith actually just tweeted out something about the robot and iRobot as basically like
Hmm.
replying to Elon Musk, and then I saw
Hmm.
it was his son Jaden who tweeted out, said, "Dad, stop." Because I think he's definitely Jaden's a fanboy of Elon. He doesn't want to piss off Elon, right? I mean, he's got a Tesla. He loves
Yeah, yeah,
Elon. He loves the future, so he doesn't want to be pissing off Elon. So he's like, "Dad, you got to chill, bro. I'm
yeah.
trying to meet Elon, trying to be best friends with him. Like, relax. You're trying to ruin
I'm
this
trying
for
to go to
me."
Mars, man. Like
I think he is too.
one of my goals. one of my biggest goals is I don't want to die on Earth. I want to die on Mars. Like I don't have to do a ton of living there, but I want to live there definitely momentarily and definitely die there. I think that'd be so cool to die on Mars instead of on Earth. Like that's I don't even have the words for it. That's awesome.
What if
To visit another planet and live on another planet.
what if we already lived on Mars and then fucked it up, then came here?
Man, I've heard that theory so many times. Like, I hope it happened. I hope humans lived on Mars a billion years ago, and I hope we're gonna get there and discover a bunch of fossilized humans, and because then it's cool. Because then, like, maybe Mars was really our original home planet. Maybe we're coming back. Maybe we had to leave to live on Earth for a while, and then now we're coming back. Like, that's a cool homecoming story right there, right?
Yeah, or maybe like the asteroid belt was a planet that we lived on previously, and then we blew the shit up, and it was between Mars and Earth,
That's wild.
and then we just fucking jet it to Earth and then repopulate it. And so a lot of these asteroids that have came here have just repopulated with some of the DNA that we had previously on this middle planet between Mars and Earth. And now we are here. And so when you have these species or excuse me, these ancient tribes like the Dogons saying that, you know, they come from Ceres B and all these things like that, maybe it's some sense of some possibility. Maybe they could have came to these things. I mean, these cultures are very old and they didn't have the technology at that time. So how do they know these things?
You should write a book on wild space theories, because this shit sounds awesome. I love talking about like space and everything. So just all the wilder things, the better. Like, but I had never heard anyone say that maybe we lived on the asteroid belt and it was something planet we blew up.
I mean, it could be possible.
That shit sounds it's so fun. Oh, it's definitely possible. Like essentially, pretty much everything is possible, damn near. And that definitely is. And you know, there's skeptics who say like, well, that's not possible because we didn't have all the technology back then. Maybe we did. A billion years is enough time for anything to happen.
I mean, the Earth is gonna explode within around a billion years or so, right? It's gonna blow the fuck up.
Yeah, the
sun's gonna roast it. It's gonna fucking blow.
Yeah, exactly. It'll die on its own, just like Mars did, and then the sun is also expanding, and probably a billion years from now, the sun is going to be so big that it eats the Earth on its way out.
And even Mars is gonna, you know, eventually go away itself because the galaxy will just, you know, the sun will explode or die out, and so eventually we have to leave Mars. It just consistently has to go.
It has to. That's the evolution of space and life in general. So yeah, eventually our solar system will die. The planets that are in it will either get sucked into a black hole or pulled into another galaxy and ripped apart, and then those materials will be reused for other planets and stars and everything. So yeah, everything is possible, and all these things happen.
These are the facts. I don't know. I just think it's interesting. Elon Musk, you know, the new, you know, Tesla bots, and like where that's gonna go for mankind and Mars. You know, you can actually buy some land on Mars now if you want to get your bids in early.
Really?
Yeah, you can actually go buy land on Mars on the internet, so that way your future grandkids can be these billionaires with lots of lots. Maybe that
Yo, real
that
talk.
beach house.
That sounds so cool. I'm trying to drive around my Cybertruck on Mars with my Tesla bot riding shotgun, out having fun.
I mean, those are cool things, man. I mean, think about it. I mean, like, I feel like we're far behind in a lot of things. I think Elon Musk is pushing the drive, you know, forward because, like, these are things that we should have done a long time ago. Where the fuck are hoverboards? You know, where are
real talk?
You know what I mean? Where are hoverboards? Why are cars even using wheels still to this day? We should be fighting for something that they should be floating, like, or anti-gravity or some shit, right?
Definitely. You're seeing now a lot of these tech companies that are in that drone space and things like that. It's like a personal drone that you sit in. It's like essentially mini one-person helicopter. Like, we should have been having these forever ago. Like, this shouldn't be new.
Yeah, it is, man. And, you know, you mentioned something also, too, about, like, you know, if your hand got cut off or something like that and you can pull it off and it's kind of like iRobot. But there's also DNA, you know, practices where you can actually, you know, where they're studying, you know, regeneration. Right? So it's like, you fucking so cool. Cut your hand off.
I love that. Like, yeah, eventually we're going to be like starfish, yo. Like you just grow a new one on your own.
I mean, because all you have to do is find out what DNA or gene within the DNA that you need to manipulate and switch it up, and turn it on.
We have that. We have that gene.
Yes.
It's crazy. Like how many genes we have that are
dormant
in the human body. They're just turned off. They're just dormant. Yeah, we have the gene to hibernate. We can hibernate.
These are facts.
We can't because we don't know how to turn the gene on. But as soon as we figure it out, you know, we may have to figure it out because, you know, humans may have to go into hibernation eventually with the way the weather's going. We're gonna have to hibernate because it's too hot. We're gonna have
Not
to.
even that. Space travel.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you can't be taking years at a time to get places and just be. You better get a nap in.
Yeah, your heart level and stuff like that can lower itself at a real
Yeah,
balanced
yeah.
time, and it can stop a lot of
Hmm.
different other processes that happen when you're typically awake versus when you're just like in this hibernation stage and you just wake up like a bear.
Yeah.
Bruh, bruh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. It's wild what humans are like capable of, even though like that's almost like out of the range of capabilities, but it's there. Like we just had to figure out how to be capable of it. So humans are like, man, we're like nothing else we even know about, man. We're like walking gods the way we can do things, manipulate our DNA, even already. Like I listen to a lot of these guys who talk about the different things you can do if you know how to get into a deep enough meditation state, the way you can heal yourself and do different things. And it's like, in a sense, like biohack yourself, and just we're incredible living things, man. And I'm happy to be one. I'm proud. I'm honored. I feel like it's an honor to get to be a human before, you know, before you go on to whatever's next. I guess you could have been born a dog,
Yeah,
and that
man. I
sounds
mean,
awful. Unless you're,
no, you're right. These are facts, man. I mean, like we're lucky to kind of be humans, I think, right? We don't know what the other
yeah,
species typically think. Like, it might be great to be a fucking dog. You might get a lot of love, free food. I don't know. Some places
yeah.
you might get
I
eaten,
mean,
but yeah,
it would only be cool if you didn't know how cool it was to be a human. Being a dog would be awesome.
out of
But
sight, out of mind.
if you got to be a human first, and then you had to like go be a dog, and you remembered what it was like to be a human, you'd be like, damn, maybe if I run out in front of this car, I can come back as a human again.
Yeah, man. These are the facts, man. I mean, you never know, man. I mean, somebody stepping on an ant could have been somebody else's grandpa eventually or before. I don't know,
You
man. You never know.
know what I mean? Who knows? I don't know. If I honestly though, if I die and I have to reincarnate on Earth as anything at all, I'm gonna be very, very mad.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the human thing more than once. I don't want to come back as like if I don't get to come back on another planet somewhere anywhere in the universe, I'm gonna be upset. It's gonna be devastating. Can you imagine just the endless cycle of coming back to life on Earth? I mean, maybe it
Yeah.
sounds cool for some people, but
Yeah.
I want a different experience. I want to try new things, and you know,
But wouldn't they
maybe
be
I can come back as like.
wouldn't they be new to you
Go
if
ahead.
you like wouldn't they be new to you if you like don't remember the previous life and you're in a different
It
scenario?
would. It definitely would. Then you wouldn't even know any difference. This might
Right.
be my 100th life on Earth, and it feels like my first. I don't know.
Right. See?
But yeah,
Maybe it won't
if
be
you
so
carry any
bad.
memories, no, then it's cool because you're just like living for the first time a bunch of times. Then it's I can get down with that. But if I have a memory, if I have a single memory of a past life, and I keep having to come back here, I gotta hurry up and get to Mars. Can you imagine like you get to Mars and then you die and then you gotta come back on Earth again?
I could imagine that. But, I mean, I think like there's some people that do like past life regression and stuff like that. So I'm like, I always look at that. I'm like, man, why
Yeah,
do you really want to know that 100%? Because then do you want to have memories of a past life? Then you're just walking around with those burdens that you can't talk to the people anymore. You don't know who they are anymore or if they're even on this
yeah,
plane. So wouldn't that like fuck you up? Like, I think you have to have like a different type of like mentality. Like you had kids and daughters previously
yeah,
and you don't know who they are now.
yeah.
Now they're gone. You're going to be, remembering that and feeling remorseful. I don't know. Yeah.
See, I don't want any part of that, man.
Yeah, I
And like you
agree.
said, like even on this plane, I don't want to be on this plane. I want to be higher plane, different planet. Even if I'm not even like a physical being, even if I'm like a gaseous life. I don't know. I don't care. Something different. That's all I care. Something different. That's all I need. Something new.
Yeah, but when you were little, Trenton, did you ever think like, hey, how did I get here? Like, why am I here? Like, did you ever think of those
Yeah,
things?
yeah, definitely, definitely. Like what? Because I've always been really drawn to space, and so something I've always thought about as long as I can remember, pretty much having thoughts is like, why is any of this here? Like, why? What is the purpose of this? Like, what is this? It's and especially to think space just it goes on forever essentially, right? And so why is there anything at all? Why isn't there just nothing? Why does anything exist? Why is there not just like an oblivion, empty nothing? And or if we live in this universe, are there more universes? Is the multiverse theory correct? is this one gonna keep expanding and pop, and everything just gets sucked out of this vacuum and just be ripped apart in an instant? So yeah, just those are the kind of fascinating questions that I like to think about, and just try to figure out like why does anything happen? What's on the other side of a black hole? What is, you know, what was the spark that caused our universe to even form? Why did the Big Bang happen? What was before the Big Bang? The Big Bang isn't the beginning of time. There was something before that. We know that. We just was. Like how do we find this unified theory of everything? That, you know, is it string theory? Is it what is it? You know? So yeah, it's just always been pulled to this, and always had this thought of, you know, just ask why and for what. Like, why am I here? What is everything?
Yeah, I think humans on our spiritual journey consistently, we're always trying to like figure
Yeah,
out
same.
why. How do we get here? You know, what was before us? And I think the problem is sometimes when we just keep on digging, there's just some questions that just seems
Mhm.
like so big that our brain can't even grasp them. We don't use the majority of our brain either. So
Real
it's
talk.
just like, I mean, could we even handle using our majority of our brain? Like some people kill themselves and with just a small portion of their brain. Imagine using your whole fucking brain.
Oh,
You
that's
know?
funny. I like
You know what I mean? I'm
that.
just,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, definitely, man. Like that, it's wild to think about it, and like talk about killing yourself. I would. I'm not a suicidal depression person. You know, everyone knows someone who's lost that. It's not like a technically a joking matter. But if I ever did kill myself, it would be because I couldn't wait to see what was on the other side of life anymore. It was just because I got bored and too curious. So if
Yeah.
I ever kill myself, just everyone know I was not depressed. I was just too curious for my own sanity. That'll be what it is.
But then it's like this
But
other
I
thing.
won't though. Still,
But it depends on Trent. It depends on also like if you believe in certain religious things, like you know,
yeah.
if Christianity or you know you believe if you kill yourself, then you automatically go to the pit of hell, right? So it's like you know you probably wouldn't
Hmm.
rush to do that if that's the other result, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely,
I don't know if that's
definitely,
a good option because you
definitely.
never
So
know.
who
You never
knows, man?
know.
Like every single thing of every religion, every theory of whatever's next spiritual, they're all equally crazy. Like everything. Like everyone wants to like rip Scientology, and I say that because I live in LA, and there's this huge Scientology church like less than a mile from me.
Of
So it's
course.
like everyone always rips that one because they're like saying like, oh, well, aliens came out of the sky and did this and that. It's like that is not any more wild than saying an an angel fell out of the sky and got this woman pregnant who was a virgin. Like they're all equally, you know. It's just what kind of crazy resonates with you. Like it's it's all the reincarnation, like what Buddhists believe and things like that. Like it's all equally crazy, and all equally makes sense at the same time. It's all just we're all just out here playing a big guessing game. Like we don't know what happens when we die. We don't know if heaven's real. Whatever it is, maybe you reincarnate on another planet. Maybe who knows? Maybe your spirit is just floating around in the universe trying to find a body. Who knows? It's literally like you don't know until you die. So it's, you know, but yeah, I'm not trying to spend the rest of eternity in hell. That'd be I gotta see if I can network my way to heaven.
There you go. That's what we're trying to do now. We're always networking to heaven. There we go.
That's
I don't.
exactly that's what I'm gonna try to do.
I think that's even funnier though that you even mentioned that because it's just like, you know, it's like we're here on this planet, and you know, we're saying that you know these type of things like aliens and angels and things like this are just so bizarre or just as crazy as any other thing else. But like, if you really think about it, when you really start thinking about humans and our lives and just anything here, it all sounds fucking bananas, anyways.
Definitely, definitely. And yeah, man, this whole thing could be a simulation. Nothing could be after this. That's possible too. We could be a simulation in someone's computer.
Right. But can or we could be a reincarnated simulation.
We could, and that doesn't even make any sense, but it doesn't have to. It's
No, it actually does. Think about it. If you are in a simulation, right? But
okay.
how do you reincarnate? Maybe you can get into a machine or some else
You just
type
get
of thing. Like,
re-simulated. I don't know.
yeah, maybe you can be like the Matrix, right? The Matrix got into a machine, and then they
Yeah,
also
yeah,
thought they were.
definitely.
Now they think they're on a whole nother plane, right? So
Hmm.
what I'm saying is, could be the reincarnation be also a similar thing to, just having this simulation thing going on. Because I mean, if this is a simulation, then obviously reincarnation could be possible because you can easily jump in back and forth or go on this vacation or this simulation whenever
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's rules within the simulation, like a game.
Yeah. I hope it is a simulation with no rules. That's what I'm shooting for. Because I want to see humans crack the simulation code and hack the algorithm, and like just like superposition themselves in multiple positions at once. Like I'm here, but I'm also in my kitchen making food, and I'm also like taking a nap. But those aren't like clones. That's like me. I'm in multiple places at once. And if we can crack the code, that's possible.
But how bizarre would it be if you were actually in a simulation and you figured out you weren't in a simulation? So the game figures out it's in a game.
I would take advantage of it and not tell anybody.
But wouldn't that drive you fucking crazy? Like, oh my God, I'm in the game, but I'm not actually real in the game. When I wake up, when this person wakes up, I'm not going to be in the game. And nothing here ever existed, which is really some sense of truth. We die.
Definitely.
Nothing ever happened.
But the thing is, if it is a game, that means there's cheat codes to the game. And there's also glitches, which can make things very fun and interesting.
I mean, how do we know there's glitches? I think we always try to like push things back to these glitches. I think there's some astrophysics who say like there's glitches in it, like it's a game, like it's so like elementary that we still have these glitches in it. But like, what would be a glitch for something of such sense? And would it be if something so sophisticated as being how we feel and look in here? Would we notice a glitch? Mm-hmm. Does the game notice a glitch?
Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't see. It doesn't make any sense at a certain point.
Or maybe there's only glitches when no one's watching.
But could you notice the glitch? If you are the game, how could you notice the glitch? The game doesn't notice a glitch.
You might not notice it because also it might be a glitch, but you might not recognize that it is a glitch. You might think it's something that just, how the hell did that happen? What's going on? It must have been my mind playing tricks on me. That's what it was. My mind was playing tricks on me. That didn't happen. There's no glitch.
Deja vu.
So
deja vu.
Yeah. There's all kinds of reasons that we would tell ourselves if something that we saw that we couldn't comprehend. Our mind has to try to make sense of it, and I don't think our mind is going to jump to, oh, there's a glitch in the simulation.
But could deja vu be like a glitch in the simulation where we're just remembering something that we already did because the game's just replaying or something else like that? That could be a glitch. A dream could be a glitch.
Definitely.
So like, it's really like, how do we define glitches within a multiverse?
Another thing too is like you look at the way that whenever you observe something, it's different than when it's unobserved, and that goes for everything across the universe. But so like an example you can jump to is light particles. So if you've ever seen that test where they shine the light through the cardboard slits onto the back wall, and like there's essentially like two lines whenever it's I think it's whenever it's observed, right? But whenever you don't observe it, it's more like scattered light, because it's the light particles react different, and we have ways to test it like without our naked eye. Our naked eye doesn't really do it the same way, but you can like literally watch these light photons travel through, like individually travel through the holes in the cardboard. But whenever we do watch them do that, they react different.
Mm-hmm.
How does that make sense? Is that a glitch?
You never know.
Or is that the game not letting the player figure out the game?
Could be both. Could be deep.
I
mean, if you ever play those games like Zelda and stuff like that, I don't know if you ever had, but you can get lost in those games because it feels like you're in another world.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows? Like I said, everything equally is crazy. Everything was pretty much equally probable, damn near. And we're just out here playing guessing games, trying to make up theories that'll almost make sense.
And then we're also doing some research behind it too. It's good to have theories.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But if you can replicate it, I'm all about theories, but I'm also about data and replication. I've worked at Facebook before,
for sure.
And I worked on AI, so I know how that's work. I know how that is. I'm all in it. But I would ask you this question right here. You said you had like a coffee company. How did you pronounce it again?
KORMA.
Yeah. Why KORMA?
KORMA.
Why that? Why'd you name it that?
I called it korma because date coffee is really popular in like Middle East, right? That's kind of where it got its popularity. And the word korma is Farsi for date, except I changed the spelling a little bit. But yeah, that's why korma's Farsi for date.
Ah, why'd you choose a Farsi word?
I don't know.
Just because?
I just because
All right, cool. No
it was
worries.
it was either that or Arabic. Those are my options. I just picked Farsi because I don't know, probably because my lawyer's Persian. I guess I don't know. Maybe that
There we
kind of
go.
pulled me to just
There we go.
I
There
don't
we
know.
go. That's all you
I didn't
need.
think about it, but that may have been a subconscious thing that was just kind of triggered it. Maybe who knows? But that was just kind of what I decided to roll with.
So we can tell you live in LA because you said the word Persian, and that always trips me up
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
like where's that at in the map right now? It's like where's Persia? Like I'm trying to find it, but it doesn't exist.
Ask ask the United States.
Is it only
'Cause I'm
United
pretty
States
sure
that
we
doesn't recognize a Persia?
no. What I'm saying is I'm pretty sure we helped stage the coup that led to the demise of Persia and became Iran in the
Mm.
50s. Persia's only been gone since the 50s. It
Ah,
became Iran, and I'm pretty sure what happened was. Now I could be mixing this up with another country because we like to
yeah, but
do
just
that
we're just talking.
in America.
We're just going.
We like to stick our nose in other people's business.
People
But
can look it
I
up.
think it was
Yeah.
yeah I think it was that we helped overthrow their government because the dude who was their leader, we didn't like him, and he wasn't like trying to play ball with America and help us.
Mm-hmm.
So we put in someone in power who would, and then like Iran was came out of that.
Mm-hmm.
But we may need to double check that. But I'm pretty sure the United States played an active role in the coup that led to Iran being born out of Persia.
But that's
Yeah,
interesting.
you'll have
But
to dig.
even before that though, like what was that? Like I mean, like there was the Ottoman Empire. So like,
Yeah,
why not
yeah.
say the Ottoman Empire? You know, I mean, it was. I mean, how many
Well,
ancient Mesopotamia?
so
Like it's
I
gone.
think the big thing is I think the big thing is that there's still a whole generation of people that are Persian that lived in Persia. So like my lawyer, she moved here when she was like 8 or 9 years old, I think. But so her mom and her dad literally lived in the country called Persia,
Mm.
and then it became Iran, and they fled not long after.
Wow, that's interesting. But
Yeah.
still, I mean,
So I think that's why.
but how many places
Yeah.
still can claim Persia though too? I mean, like if we're thinking about it, like how many other places can claim Persia? I mean, Persia was a big place. Turkey was even
Mhm.
Persia before at one period of time, right? Tons of places
Yeah.
were Persia.
Yeah.
Persia was
Yeah.
a large place.
They owned most of the world at one point,
Right.
or controlled it. Yeah, like because I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Alexander the Great. That's Persian Empire, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he had more people under his rule than almost anybody ever. He's like top three. So
Well, Alexander the Great, I think he was Greek. Yeah, I think he was Greek. Yeah,
are you sure?
I think he was
Because
Greek.
his hang on, let me see.
Look
I
that up.
can
Let's look
Google
that shit up. Let's
one
look
place
it
real
up.
quick.
We're gonna look that up. Alexander the Great. Was Alexander the Great Greek, or was he a Persian? Let's look it up.
Right. Let's see. Let's see.
Great.
I'll just Google where was Alexander the Great from.
Yeah. Let's look it up. Dun, 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 dun.
All right, he was from Pella, Macedonia, which I knew he was from Macedonia, but I don't know where Macedonia, because that's obviously doesn't exist anymore, right? Maybe it does. I don't think so though. But okay, so Macedonia is like so there's a republic now that's still called North Macedonia. It's in Southeast Europe. So
Well, here's what we're looking at.
it's like close over there.
Right. So here's
Yeah.
what we're looking at. The conqueror of the king of Macedonia, Alexander the Great, was born July the 20th, 356 BC in Pilla, and the ancient Greek kingdom of Macedonia during the leadership, blah, 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 and United Greek cities states that he led the Carthaginian League. Yeah. So he was Carthaginian. So he was,
Yeah, that's
he
great.
was a Greek. Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay, cool.
but so we got that clear out. We just want to make sure all the little
Yeah,
other
yeah, yeah. I
other
don't wanna
nerds
be out
got
here
that right.
spreading
But
false
we're having a
information.
conversation. It's all good. It's growth. That's how we learn. We trade
Yeah,
information
yeah.
as humans. We get stronger and better. But yeah, so all right, so back to what we were saying. So now we've established we think we established that he was a Greek, right? And so, I mean, Alexander the Great, that's cool, but I think he fought against the Persian Empire. I think that's what it was, or some things like that. And I think he conquered them at a period of time. I think if I can go back, but anyhow, whatever it may be. So I guess I'm just saying, like, at what point sometimes when I hear those things, it's like, do you call yourself that? I mean, like even Turkey was the Ottomans, but you don't typically walk around and ask a Turkish person and say, hey, what are you? When they're in the United States, they don't say, hey, I'm an Ottoman. I'm an Ottoman. I'm an Ottoman.
Yeah.
I'm an Ottoman. Or they could be Persia, because Persia took over, what is called modern day Turkey, a long time ago as well. They owned that for a little period of time. They ruled over that. So, Egypt, I think was at a time was ruled by the Persian Empire. So it's like, and even then the Ottoman Empire overlapped on that. So it's like, calling yourself what? Ancient Mesopotamia. It was way before any of those. So why not be ancient Mesopotamia, right? I mean, I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. The new land. Like, what are we now? Like, I feel like that. Just like, I feel like, some of my friends.
What are we? Are we still just like British colonialites? That's what I'm gonna start calling myself, a British colonialite.
Well, even look at this, man. Even look at this. Look at this shit. Like, sometimes I will hear people say in the United States, they'll say anybody who's a Spanish speaker, they will say, they're Spanish. And I'm like, bro, what? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, so anybody who's born in a Spanish-speaking country is just Spanish? Like, do you know Spanish is like, that's just the language. Do you mean like from Spain? Like, what are you saying? Because like, that's not right? And they were like, yeah, man, but they're like Spanish. I'm like, bro, but then why don't I just call you like English? You live in the United States. Why isn't everybody just English? You speak English.
Yeah. That sounds like something white people would say. Someone's Spanish whenever they're Hispanic.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. But I guess I'm just saying is like, when you go into the United States, you start articulating your ancestral background that you fit in with the most, right?
Yeah.
You don't say you're American. They'll put something in front of it, right? So it's like, when you do that to Latin America, it's a multiracial, country. So it's like everybody's like mixed for the most part, right? Everybody's got some type of mixing of something else of other countries that is a big melting pot, right? So it's like, the only thing to pretty much say is to, gravitate towards the language, right? Yeah. But in the United States, people don't do that. So they don't say like they're English. They don't just say, oh, that person's English. But they'll say it all the time. I hear people, the Spanish guy. And it's not just from white people per se, right? I've seen it from all different types of people in the United States.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just,
It's just funny. It's just funny.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too is, for some people, it's there's pride in knowing your heritage. If I was, like, let's say I am Italian, right? I'm just saying, I don't even know my background. I haven't done the ancestry thing, but so then I would tell people like, oh yeah, I'm Italian. Like I know people who are like, oh yeah, I'm Italian. Like, no, you're not. You're. I mean, you can say you are, but you're American because you were born here and you don't even know an Italian word except for like ravioli. So I don't. You're not Italian.
I mean, even that for people that say like, they'll say their nationality, with a nationality, like some people will say like, I'm Indian American or I'm Mexican American. It's like, well, how's that fucking possible? Like, those are two different nationalities. I mean, if you're born here, how the hell are you another nationality? You mean one of your grandparents or your relatives or your parents were from that nationality? Yeah. But you technically aren't. You're just American. I'm just saying.
Yeah, definitely. I think it just goes back to that pride thing too, and especially if your grandfather is Mexican, then I think you still want to have that tied to your identity. I think that's part of it. Is
no, because it can be definitely tied to you. Right, and I agree that can easily be tied to your identity. But I'm just saying, when you declare yourself as that nationality, and it's like you never were even born there, it's like you're just American, man. But
no, I agree.
Your
I
family
just think that's why people do it. Is what I'm saying. Is like, it gives them a stronger sense of identity and who they are, and I think that's probably like the big reason why people do it, and also to sound cool, probably. It just
everybody wants to be different in the United States.
What their background is. What do you say?
Everybody wants to be different in the United States, and it's just like
really. That's a big thing. Different makes you cool here.
Yeah, but
so everyone wants to pull out their own things and make them an individual.
Hell yeah. So yeah, man. So how can people find out more about the coffee and things about your new cartoons?
Yeah, so coffee, it's called KORMA, made out of dates, super healthy. You can find it at kormacoffee.com. That's with a K, KORMA, coffee with a C. So you can check that out there. Ton of facts about it, a little more information about it than I'm giving y'all right now. The cartoons, probably the best places. Like you can look up RiOT Comedy on Instagram, Trenton Hudson on Instagram. Like anytime if something pops up for us, that's really cool. We talk about it on there, but. Yeah, those are probably the best places. Just social media for real, and yeah,
Awesome.
Trenton Hudson, RiOT Comedy.
Awesome. It was great
That's
having
what
you
I
actually on the
think.
podcast, man. We're definitely gonna stay in touch,
Oh,
man.
my
But
pleasure. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
So Elon Musk, Tesla bots. We're gonna talk about the coffee. We talked
All
about
that.
a lot of stuff.
All
So
that.
it's just an amazing story. But I hope to see you
Yeah.
on that
I'll see you
Netflix
on
special.
Mars, man.
Yeah. Well, no, you're gonna see me here, and you're also gonna see me. I want to see you on the Netflix special. Got to see your stuff on the Netflix
Oh yeah,
special.
but I'm gonna see you on Mars too, though. I'm gonna see you
Oh,
on
for
Mars
sure.
eventually.
Yeah, you got to do it. You got to do a cartoon about that, space and Mars and Elon Musk.
Real talk,
kind of
real
like some
talk.
type of mockery or something. That'd be cool. You'd be the first to do it with
Yeah.
the Tesla bots.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. Well, all right, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me, man. I had a blast today.
Same here, man. So just hang on for a second. We gotta wait for it to upload. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Kids in the Room podcast. Kids in the Room podcast.
That's right. That's right.
Brought to you by Moo Faces TV. Let's go.